Mi hermano,
Mi hermano,
¿cómo
¿cómo
estás, mi
estás?
hermano? No, we'll stay in English.
Yeah, let's do English, but I mean, let's just be real here. Thank you so much, Clay. Thanks for being here today. Thanks for this amazing conversation. First of all, I just want to say how much I love you, brother. How much this is such an interesting conversation because we have been through different ordeals together,
Mm.
and also it's been an interesting year and a half since our trip to Egypt. So let's get started.
Yeah,
Clay,
let's do it.
I want for you to introduce yourself. And because it's interesting to always kind of see how everybody sees themselves. Put you on the spot right there.
Oh
Introduce
my
yourself, my
gosh.
brother.
No, I mean, you said it. I'm Clay, and I've also, just like you, I've been cracking open the shell of the old into the new, and it's been a process. And so, yeah, thanks for having me. I'm honored to be here, and I've got a lot to talk about. It's like you mentioned uh our Egypt trip a year and a half ago. I feel like it's pretty resonant for us to be closing out like a two-ish year cycle here. And the Egypt trip was kind of at the start half of it where I didn't really know what exactly was happening in my Kundalini awakening. So you saw an interesting glimpse of it, and I feel like in the subsequent year and a half, it's like I've been able to understand myself in the process a little bit better. And so I'm excited to talk about it some more.
Well, let's dive into. I remember something that happened right before our trip. And I was feeling how all these souls were coming together and starting to unite. And we had a conversation, and then a huge situation happened in California, huge
Mm.
fires.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to go into that a little bit because I
Yeah.
remember that I got a call from one of our mutual friends that said, your house had burned down. And that same afternoon, I got your deposit to come to Egypt.
That's so hilarious.
That is, I want, let's go back to this a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Your decision-making processes where you were right before our initiation in Egypt.
Wow. That's such a great question. And I'm grateful for that opportunity to reflect back then, because that was the initiation before the initiation before the initiation. And you ask about my decision-making process, it was beyond logic at that point. I was like 28 years old and living in LA, modeling, acting, and just uh, living, moving through my reality in a form of myself that I no longer recognize, and it's like, and that's why it was such an initiation. The fires were happening, and ironically enough, my house didn't burn down. I don't know if you even know that, but I just said it did, and energetically it did. It's like I literally got in the car, packed an overnight bag, and left, and I left all my possessions there, like clothes, baby pictures, technology, whatever. It's like I knew that that was my opportunity to start again. And if I didn't take it, then I would be stuck. And it's like I really didn't take it. And that's when I left LA and just started driving north up the coast. And like you said, this was a few months before we left for Egypt. And it's like I couldn't really wrap my head around what was happening logically. It's like and it didn't make sense logically. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any plan. I was leaving like the entire life that I had cultivated up until that point. And it was exactly that. It was my opportunity to start new. And, looking back on it, it was such a like dense, heavy time. It's like going back to our conversation, I'll always remember the analogy you used of, it's like we're making a path in the jungle with a machete, and someone's got to do it so other people will follow. And some people have done it, and more people are going to do it. And the more people do it, the more that pathway, that template exists. And this is back when I didn't even know what that template was. It's like I didn't even know what I was building, but I knew that it was soul level. And so, yeah, the truth is my place did not burn down, but I paid my building at the time to just take all my stuff and donate it or throw it away or whatever. And I haven't been back since then.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I need to go deeper into this.
Oh my gosh. Well,
Um, let me ask you something. I mean, because for me, the first time I met you, and you mentioned right now about the analogy, it was, when the first time we met was through a call that I thought it was very interesting because we, I felt in that moment that every person that was coming on this trip, it was important to have a pre-call and just go into the energetics of this. And when I walked with you, I could feel you. So, we were very vulnerable as well. It
hmm
wasn't a time when I felt you very, but at the same time, super brave, saying, I'm in this place right now, but I'm not going to be a victim.
mm,
I am gonna, I'm gonna take what's mine and I'm gonna walk forward. That's what I felt from you. And take me back a little bit. You mentioned, LA, you were a model. I'm not sure you're still a model, but it's this matrix
mm,
of putting off a lot of masks as well. And you
hmm
have to be a certain person to kind of fit into a system. And knowing you, I know that you are not, you're always very authentic. So how did you mix this persona when you were finding your path and who you are in that moment where so many things were happening, you're making these decisions, you literally burned your bridges and didn't look back. So I want you to take
Sure.
us through this, through your emotional and mental decisions there. It's amazing.
Well, yeah. And that's the perfect, it's like we're already talking about the Kundalini awakening because it's like moving back into history in our consciousness right now. It's like that point, I was so, like you said, vulnerable. It was like I was very unintegrated. I had a lot of gaps in my aura, things that didn't make sense. It's like I had come from a very difficult childhood with a covert narcissistic family unit, and that kind of never got resolved. It's like I never, or at that point, I hadn't really seen the full truth of that situation. And so it's like those gaps in my aura, those holes in my awareness, they manifested to my 20s in LA. It's like the same thing. And it's what you said. LA is a place where it's like a vortex. It is a vortex, and it's um like a timeline accelerator. So whatever your energetic signature is, it's going to get amplified there. And I think that part of my soul's journey was for those wounds to get amplified back then so they could be right in my face so that I could have this dramatic 2 year. This was moving into our snake year. It's like I could have this whoa, and that's exactly what happened the day of the fire. As I looked around, I had this um, expansion into a deeper truth. And I looked around to the people who were around me. I looked around at my life and I said, this is not, this is not me. This is not resonant. This is no, I didn't know who I was, but I knew that that wasn't who I was. And I knew
Wow.
that, this opportunity to leave and blame it on the fire was coming in from the soul level. And I knew that, as you said, I think that's a great word for how I was then. I was so vulnerable. I I was so desperate to figure myself out. And, it's like, and if it wasn't, it's like, it's the cliche that's just like anything else, it's more true the more you sit with it. It's like everything really does happen for a reason. And it's this opportunity of observing my uh, disintegration and knowing that there's more there for me. It's like I had the other side of that too. I knew my soul was meant to express in a greater way as well. And so through this journey, I was forced into my dharma, and it's like, and this is where I met like my family take two. It's like this is where I completed all those spirals around it's like that I had started earlier in life is like this is where all these karmic lessons came into play so that I could step into my dharma, my soul purpose. And so it was a messy time, and it was a messy time of not knowing what I was doing, not having any security, not having any money, not having a place to live. Like I was quite literally homeless, and it's like the ironic thing is that while this is all happening, people look at me, in the past, people would look at me and they'd say, "Oh, you have a nice car. Oh, you come from LA. You must have plenty of money. Oh, your family is rich. You have an easy life." It's like there's such a deeper truth that I was holding that I wasn't yet ready to express.
Mm.
And that was we're moving into Kundalini, but I'm like slowing down. It's like that is the pressure cooker that kind of kickstarted the experience.
Amazing. You have so much energy at all my dogs are barking right now.
All 12 of them.
All 12 of them. Oh, and there she is. There's one right now. Everybody, anyway. Wow, man. It's beautiful because I feel that we're also, let's take back to the machete. Um, when we went into the jungle, let's put it this way, it was you that was opening the doors. And we saw also an ancient temple, an ancient pyramid. I feel that we also represent different parts of humanity. The door openers, the ones that say yes when there is no road there.
Mm,
Take me, let's talk a little bit about that journey that you were having such situations happening outside, and then you said, I'm going to Egypt. I'm going to Egypt. I'm going to do this. I want you to take me a bit into your spiritual essence because one of the things that I found so beautiful was that you never hide who you are. When we got to Egypt, you were yourself in the purest sense since day one, since day one. So we're going to talk about Kundalini, but I think that Kundalini is just such a word, right? But
mm,
really is how you integrate all the parts of you and then how you
mm,
make them dance, then how you see yourself, how you literally are authentic, because I think that everybody brings a certain type of authenticity.
mm,
And I really loved how you removed all your masks, and I really got to see who you were immediately. There was no in between. There was no like, I'm gonna settle down. This was like full force Clay. So take me through your spiritual essence as well. And I know that persons that hear this, they're gonna see some reflections of themselves in you. So I want you to take me on that journey of your spirituality, going into there, maybe the before, the during.
mm.
Tell me.
Well, I think that's you set me up in such a great way. Thank you, because uh, that provides really helpful context to almost like the necessary steps in order to start the process. Or I mean, and again, like you said, that Kundalini is just a word. It's really a metaphor for the spiritual awakening. And I even like don't like those words because that sounds so generic too. But more specifically, as you already alluded to, it's like this process of going from this unintegrated being with gaps in my field, like I was saying, and it's like, how do we sew our parts back in? It's like our soul is so fragmented, and that's what my childhood was. It was uh being accepted into the ultimate illusion. It's like my parents would wear a mask as being these loving Christian people, but they were actually, at home when the mask were dropped and people weren't looking. It was the complete opposite, satanic cult type of vibes. And so it's like I was so shattered. I didn't know who I was because I was so illusioned still. And the Kundalini process is, again, it's like very multidimensional. We have to go from the spiritual through the emotional and mental into the physical. And it's like we're bouncing back there a lot, so it's just important we understand that. And it's like, and it's this process of seeking truth. And what is truth? It's like everyone has their own definitions, but it's like the real truth is understanding my perspective, understanding the perspective of anyone else, even if it's my abusers. It's like to really empathize with the abusers is to really see the truth. And the truth is somewhere between this perspective, this angle, this angle, this angle. It's all of them. And it's the real actual truth of all of that. And that's kind of the metaphysical process that's happening as we're integrating our spiritual selves, as we're integrating our soul fragments back into our greater awareness. And it's like, you know, it's a cycle. Everything's a cycle. And so when you're surrendering to these depths of truths and you're integrating that, it's like that's one part of the cycle, and then it's like, and then another part of the cycle is when all of that energy is returned to you physically. And that's when we start getting into the Kundalini thing. But I want to make sure I get your question. It's like, I really appreciate what you said about, my authenticity. And I think that's actually what was used against me as a child. It's like I was so innocent and wanting to project my own goodness onto others that it's like I was very easily taken advantage of. And that's part of the harder truths that are difficult to accept. But the sooner we accept them, the sooner we return our power to ourselves, And so that idea of wearing a mask, it's like I only wore masks. It's like the only version of me that I thought was worthy of being accepted and loved is what I had been taught since I was a kid was a mask. It's like who I was not good enough. The unconditional love had so many conditions that is actually what leads to this huge depression. And it's like, and you know, depression in English, the word comes from deep rest. And it's
Mm,
just our, uh, the spiritual mechanism that makes it exhausting to play other roles that are not authentic to ourselves.
mm,
And that's what I think was the deepest layer of what was motivating this chapter. I was depressed. I was exhausted
mhm,
of being something for everyone else and not even knowing who I was, having this identity crisis. And it's like, as I mentioned, I was shattered. I was, it only makes sense now looking back. It's like we're only aware as aware of as we are now. But at the time, I was so operating in a cause and effect lower
mhm,
state of nervous system. And our nervous system is the same as, it's like very much always trying to plan and control to be safe rather than, embodying our own freak. It's like we paradigm shift a lot, but then there's a big clear paradigm shift. So, yeah, so I think that's good because that puts
Let
us
me
right
go
at,
into something you just said right now. I don't want to lose something because if we keep ourselves in the safety zone, which is what usually is, it's the theoretical paradigm of being safe. You literally got these polarities and expanded them almost to the point, you know, to almost to the extreme. And I think that a lot of people can identify with this because
Mm,
in the forefront, we try to maintain a balance where we're in this safety zone.
mm,
But you saw all the sides, and you were depressed, and you were in a very unsafe environment, and you were in a very unsafe environment also in LA. And at the
mm,
same time, you knew that you wanted to get to this other polarity.
right.
Okay. So my question here is, do you feel that understanding both polarities has helped you integrate your Kundalini awakening, your Kundalini journey, your igniting of your soul? Has this been an important part? How would you reflect on it now you see it back,
Mm.
having felt all the emotions?
Yeah. I mean, speaking in terms of polarities, uh, it's like there's the yin and then there's the yang, and then that's here, and then there's the all-seeing eye that is projecting the yin and yang, so it's like it's not only seeing both extremes of the polarities, it's like what people say versus what the true energy is behind it. It's like it's seeing all that and then it's transcending above it. It's finding that uh very deep level of acceptance and soul level recognition that we know why that happens, and we know why, it's the karma to dharma journey. And so to answer your question is, yeah, it's like uh for context, it's like we're coming from a shattered place where our
Mhm.
soul fragments are still back in childhood. Energetically, we got to go travel and pick them up. And so it's like each time that this integration happened of this greater truth, it's like I brought a piece back to myself.
Mhm.
And that's where it becomes physical. It's that um that process of reintegrating self and bringing up that piece that had been illusioned away. It's like that translates to energy, and it's like, and what it looked like was, surrender, heal, and then it was physical tension in the body. It's like this is the spiritual all the way here. The same energy goes through the mental plane, the emotional plane, the physical. It's the same on every level. And
Mhm.
so there's a lot of power in seeing these truths. And so, we've been talking about Kundalini the whole time because that's what it is. It's reclaiming that power, but more specifically integrating that reclaimed energy into your system. If we want to use like a computer analogy or something, it's like moving from a crappy Dell from 2005 operating system to like a brand new Mac. It's like you have
Yeah,
to reboot it. You have to physically put hardware on it. You have to install new software, non-physical stuff. It's
of
like you have
course.
to uh, take that truth, bring it in here, and then reproject your reality from there. And that, like we said, that comes in bits. And it's a paradigm shift here, it's a paradigm shift here, it's a paradigm shift here, it's a greater paradigm shift here. And it's like, and all these paradigm shifts are coming from a place of duality, like we talked about, to unity. It's like when you realize that, and that's where we're headed in terms of consciousness level as a collective, but also me personally, it's like I am
Mhm.
all of it. It all exists within me. And the only time that I was struggling is when I was illusioned into thinking that I was a victim or something. It's like we talked about, it's this whole victim, perpetrator,
Yeah,
villain game that only exists
beautiful.
in, yeah.
Beautiful. What comes to mind right now, and you mentioned something interesting about how integrating into your heart. Let's talk about the body a bit. From my perspective, you have a very unique vision of how your body integrates into the energetic field, into the language of the universe and yourself. You taught me a lot just by seeing how you use your body to communicate. In my men's circles, for me, it's very interesting that I start all my men's circles by doing dance and really, you know, trying to ignite that part of you that usually it's not. It's very solid. It's very not able to move in ways that also spiritually you can move, being able to bend, being able to talk to the universe. Can you
Mm.
tell me about your experience in your body and how this integrates to what we're talking about? How do you use your body and into the spiritual experience in the Kundalini rising as well?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, moving into the more what this looks like in the physical realm, it's it's going back to the shattered part of the journey. You know, it's like all this energy exists here, but we're having to go into thinking of it in a linear sense because, you know, we've arrived somewhere at this point. But, you know, it's like this emotional trauma, this mental fatigue, this spiritual out of integrity-ness that I experienced when my soul was fragmented. And, you know, it's like that literally on the physical level manifest as trauma that gets manifested into your fascia, the connective tissue between your muscles, you know, and it's like, and that fascia, it's like such concentrated over so long. It's like over a long period of time, if you're looking at it from a linear sense, but from a non-linear sense, it's a huge trauma. You know, it's like a big pool of difficult energy. And that is a contraction, you know, so it's like you're contracting, you're getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and it's cold. It's like once it gets so small, it's like icy, it's like stuck. It's like we're in the shell, which ironically enough, before we hit record has already come up. You know, we're cracking out of the shell and this shell of stuck trauma in our fascia. And so that's why um, you know, I want to touch on two things here. It's like that's why when we reintegrate these parts of ourself, it looks like releasing tension from our muscles. You know, it's like how can releasing tension from our muscles have this effect over all our bodies, our spiritual body, our physical body, mental body? You know, it's like it does. And it's like, in that release of that tension is literally opening up the channels of chi energy in our body systems. And I think that is the most clear way to understand the Kundalini awakening. It's because when we integrate all parts of ourselves, we understand that we're the entire thing. You know, it's like God is in here, spirit, universe, it's all in our heart space. And so, you know, coming from that understanding, there's a degree to which we have to lock into the earth grid. The earth is our star. There's a degree to which we have to ground into a reality as well as ground into the earth. You know, it's like there's a degree into which our energy is now coming from the universal unlimited supply. And that is a process. It's like, so to make this about me, it's like I came from a very frozen, hardened, fascia stuck place. And it's like, and the more I chipped away at that, the more I expanded. And, you know, we'll have to I'll send you like a video you can apply to this or something. But it's like the way that works for me is very intuitive. It's like, you know, my spine was literally fused together after being suppressed for all these years. And it's like, and so then it's like the spine needs to elongate, it needs to stretch, there needs to be that space in between. And it's like the more I released that, the more the channels opened. The more the
Mhm.
channels opened, the more I connected to the earth, the more I connected to all the archetypal energies you can imagine. You know, it's like it's everything. And it's like in that opening of the channels, it's physical and it's spiritual. It's like it's literally, I think of it as rivers running down my back. And it's like, and those rivers were dry. And the more we do this spiritual work, the more the physical rivers open up. And, that's why Kundalini has this, how do I say, like mysticism about it? Because this energy is pure universal supply. It's not being siphoned from others like how the narcissist in the 3D Earth Matrix move. It's coming directly from source, from within. And so this Kundalini energy is capable of healing things beyond what the logical mind can fathom. It's capable of expanding, it's like this idea of activating our own auric field onto the earth. It's like this can all be explained with like sacred geometry and Merkaba. And when you activate your Merkaba, you're activating your soul. You've transcended the physical limitations of your embodiment, and you are now entering the realm of infinite potentiality. You have this reprojection of reality, and it's on the other side of this Kundalini integration. And just the last thing I'll say is like, just like everything else, we know what we know, but we don't know who will be tomorrow. Or, it's like the journey is ongoing. I don't make any claims that it's complete at all, but I it hits this point of critical mass where you know that no matter what happens, there's no veering off. It's like you're on your path to your I am presence, to the inner God. And it's like, and that's what this opening of this channels does. It reconfigures your entire earthly experience.
That's beautiful. I want to dive deeper into this. Let me put a little context because you mentioned the body and you mentioned Mother Earth. And everything is integrated. We are part of her. I remember that when we were in Egypt, I had some very beautiful visions about other places in the world. That's why we were doing this Peru trip, which is very, very oriented to the Mother Earth, Pachamama, and these temples that are really ancient technology. Before, I want us to go into Egypt because I love the fact that you mentioned that we're remembering. It means that there's breadcrumbs, there is paths that our ancestors laid for us.
Hmm.
And we usually feel as a humanity that we know everything. So we put, okay, this is this. The pyramids were the sarcophagus for a pharaoh, and that's how
Oh
it
my
is. And
gosh, please.
so now let's go into this because when we went to Egypt, we went into one of the most energetic places, but not just that. Everything had a reason. When we went to the Sphinx, when we went to the
Mm.
pyramids, when we went to the Nile, when we went to Hathor's temple. Please, brother, tell me about your experience in Egypt. I want to see it through your eyes and understanding everything that you mentioned about, the body, our spiritual essence.
Mm.
The floor is
Oh, that's
yours.
great. I'm so happy you brought us back to Egypt because that was such a nexus point for me. I'll just speak for myself. I think it was for you too, but it's exactly that. The Mother Earth, Gaia's conscious being, just like you and me, and she has her own Kundalini. And for me, the Egypt trip, and again, this is like a year and a half later, looking back on it. If you had asked me this then, I would be like, I don't know. But looking back on it, it's like there's these um, these, how do I say, hotspots of these universal energies that is part of Earth's Kundalini. And I don't think these places have to have a specific locality. I think it's soul level determined. And so, all of our souls called us to Egypt. And it's like, in that time in Egypt, each place was its own unique activation. And for me personally, I would love to hear how your experience was. But for me, is like it was so much that I was just like, it felt like, back, for lack of better words, just kind of checking the boxes for a little bit, because it was almost too much to bear, and then it's like, and then the integration was really coming home and doing it, but it's like these same energies exist in Egypt where we were, and it's like, when we were in the pyramids, for example, it's like that was the null point. That was the point of zeroness, it's like, in order to be one with the greater, you have to be nothing first. Then there was no thing there. And it was just like this intense level of surrender and this very guttural, primordial type of energy that just kind of affects you. And, I think that that effect was, I mean, it was seen, but it was also what these years have been in terms of integration. And as I'm saying that, I'm having a vision of me and Nadia when we got sick. It was like that energy was so potent. It was uh purge level. It was like all the old was leaving, all the new was coming in, and it wasn't exactly friendly, even though it was like the most incredible life-changing thing possible. It's like it's this weird experience where it's like one thing when you're physically there, and then you go back and you just see it from all these different perspectives, deeper and deeper and deeper. You keep going around that spiral, and that spiral is potent, and it's, everything happens for exactly the way it's meant to be. I credit that Egypt trip for kickstarting that phase of my personal Kundalini awakening. It's like I resonated on a soul level with the all the nonlinear energy that has ever existed in that locality, and that's pretty potent. And I think that's why grid working and this whole idea of star seeds and all this, it's like it's very real. We are here to alchemize and transmute the density of earth into truth. And that truth, it's like it is. Energy doesn't lie, and it's all encompassed in our energetic signature. And the earth feels that. And it's like we elevate as the earth elevates, or the earth elevates as we elevate. It's all the same, as you said. So tell me, what was that like for you? Do you help me elaborate on what it was like to be there and then integrate it later on?
Well, to be really honest, Egypt for me was a calling in 2019 when we went with Nadia for our honeymoon.
That's right. You had been there
And
before.
the second day there, the first day there and the second day there, the land literally activated us in such a way because we were searching for that. We
Mm,
were open to this. We were liberated in our minds. And I feel that with intention, the seeker finds because we were ready. And taking, you were our first retreat. Imagine, and it's funny. I was telling Nadia, our first retreat was in Egypt. It wasn't like going into the forest 2 blocks away or in a near
that's an
town.
intense first retreat.
Yeah, and the most beautiful souls came together. Like I think that the energy between us was so amazing. It was like everybody brought a key. Everybody represented a different um, background, culture, energy. And for me personally, like the Hathor Temple, for me, while I was walking in, I could feel it pulsating. And when I was inside, there was moments where I was feeling colors and energy, and each room
Mhm.
was different. And I understood this was ancient technology.
Mhm.
This is my personal experience. This is not a worship temple. It's a temple, or it's a technology that allows our physical body to connect with our mental body, our emotional state, and most especially our heart. and literally connect with the universe. I
Mm,
felt Egypt for me was a cosmic awakening. Every place that we went activated a part of me. When we were in the pyramid, that was something that was a gift. You know, we literally had uh, an ancient initiation there where everybody, through their vibration of our sound, created a
mm,
resonance that for me, I felt exactly like you felt. I felt uh, 0 point energy. You know, like
mm,
if we were in this moment in time where time was standing still, and it allowed me to remember so much. And then every moment that we went, Hathor's temple, Isis temple, was a different type of awakening, ignition,
mm.
remembrance. And the most beautiful thing for me was being able to live this with our group, with you, with our friends, and be ourselves. What we
Mm,
felt, we did. You know,
mhm.
what we felt we needed to do, each one of us did. And it
Yeah,
was so special in that sense that
yeah.
I think that Egypt activated us, but we also activated Egypt. We came together
Mhm.
as we probably have in other moments in time. And I really believe that we experienced in ourselves a paradigm shift, but we also ignited in Mother Earth and it helped her transcend into another paradigm shift as
Yeah.
well. That was what Egypt was for me.
That's beautifully put and very resonant. And I think that's what collectively we reflected on. It's there was some, it's like it this idea of like being activated by Egypt with Egypt, it's primordial. It was there was a lot of also interesting type of dark energy too that was just as potent and necessary. And it's like the polarities exist on such a great scale, and I love what you said about all of us kind of having our own little superpowers, our own little niche. And it reminded me of um, how much we got in trouble at the at the spots. You know, not being disrespectful at all, but it's like, I had my serpent spine going on, my Kundalini. It's like, that's something that I thought was so interesting. This uh, dissonance of the Egyptian people there. It's like they sense the real energy, but they're also under this Egyptian law that's kind of suppressed. It was a lot of interesting things going on, and we got in trouble, but that didn't stop us at all. It's like because us getting in trouble, we were in full resonance. I mean, yeah, resonance, gratitude, not resonance, revenance. What's the word I'm trying to say? Respect for all of it. And it
I
was,
think that three things we're gonna start with touch before we finish this first talk because I know that there's gonna be more to come. This has been, I just saw the clock right now. It's like, what?
yeah,
So
we
much
got
time has happened.
5 minutes. That's crazy. We just started.
And you said something that I love. And I felt this as well. I felt that the people that were guarding these temples, their soul had guarded these temples probably in other lifetimes.
Mm,
But we're in such a matrix state that their current selves were basically guards, making sure that the law was kept. But they saw in us and they opened the doors and they kind
mm,
of looked away when we were doing our stuff. And I thought that was pretty amazing because it
yeah.
was like a soul recognition that this is our home as well. And
Mm,
I felt that all of us felt at home in these beautiful places.
yeah. Agreed. Beautifully put.
So now we're doing a Peru trip in the solstice. And when I was in Egypt, I understood that the ancient civilizations, they were not separate. they were actually probably in similar timelines, and timelines may be acted in a different way. And I feel Peru so intertwined with the
Yeah.
deepness of Mother Earth, with Pachamama. And I love something you said right now about she is alive, we are part of her. We receive the cosmic integration, and when I say cosmic, I don't want to put it out as something that's apart from us because we are cosmic, but we also came here and we have integrated with her. And so let's go into a bit about other civilizations. In this case specifically, we're going to Peru, and for me, it's like a bridge. We are a bridge, and this is the moment where we anchor the energy, but the energy also is brought back to us from Mother Earth. And I feel that through her, we create, we are manifestators, and the veil is lifting. So I want to hear your feedback on what you feel is going on right now, and maybe in these other civilizations and this possible trip. Tell me a little bit about how you believe this integration happens between these cultures.
Wow. Well, it might be different circumstances, but it's the same energy everywhere in every culture right now. And it's our path to, I'm in the US, so I'll just use US as an example. It's like that disillusionment of leaving the Earth matrix of the US, the control matrix, into our infinite cosmic nature is our word. It's like that is exactly what was going on with the people at the temples, like we mentioned. It's like, and that's exactly what's going on worldwide. And it's like I agree. When I was in Egypt, it was just so abundantly clear. It's like these Egypt, all the places in Mexico, all the Peru, all the everywhere around the world, Hawaii, ancient Lemuria, it's like Atlantis, all these things. It's like it's becoming not only more and more clear, but more collectively understood that humanity was once so much more developed and connected than we've ever been led to believe with the history that's been taught, and it's like, and being in Egypt is such a testament to that. And, going back to when we were saying how the earth has her own Kundalini, it's like all these spots are spots on the earth spine, it's like they're all chakra portal, star points for us to, like you said, mutually activate. The earth activates us, we activate the earth, it's all the same, and it's like, and I uh, left Egypt with that knowing of knowing um, how advanced we were and how many falls humanity has had and how we can hold those truths now because we are on the pinnacle of our next enlightenment period. It's like this age of Pisces has ended and we're in the age of Aquarius. We had this in crazy snake year, it's like since Egypt, during Egypt, and it's like, and now we're in this renaissance of enlightenment. We're in this uh,
Beautiful.
knowing our truth, regardless of the appearances of things and how we've been led to believe. And it's like um, that same energy of tapping into our ancient ancestry that was so advanced and so connected to the sun, to the stars, to all the chakras of earth, to all of creation is exactly, it's like we can relate that to the Kundalini. That is like the Kundalini that's happening. That is the transmutation that's taking place. That's the alchemy that humanity is experiencing collectively right now. And I think that wherever we land in this timeline, it is resonant to uh, positively perpetuate this cycle. And I think that going to wherever in the world, it's like, Peru is that, but it could be anything, for whatever your soul is resonating at, it's your own truth. It's like to do that is to do that work, and that work is all that matters. You know,
Beautiful.
that's where we are.
But I want us to finish our conversation with I have one question for you. In one sentence, what would you tell a younger version of yourself, knowing all that you know now and inviting him to explore? What would you tell him?
I am.
Thank you.
It's all already there. The more you surrender, the more it can happen. It's like I don't know how to put this in a sentence, but a younger version of me was so anxious to do things, to push things forward, to try to control, and that's all under the umbrella of illusion. It's like this upper chakra mind, heart coherence, this locking into the earth grid, this universal supply of energy is real. And it's in order to land there, you have to surrender to this soul path that we're on and we will always be on. It's why we're on earth right now. It's our mission. And it's not work, it's fun.
I love it.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. And I want for you to pledge that you'll come back and talk to us.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, this is great. I mean it's great. I would love to.
I love you very much, brother.
Love you too. Thanks for everything. I'm excited to see all your other podcast episodes.